full well that a loss here is going to be, unfortunately, kicking them out of the tournament. And with that, as the Thatcher gets banned, the next one is soon to be underway with w7m choosing carefully and bringing the Flores to the selection table here. An operator often used, let's say barrels for example, to get rid of the shield that's in the elbow. It's going to become a little bit more difficult for the attacking team. But G2 starting off on the defense, probably not too worried about that just yet.
I think that's it as well. If you're looking at how G2 are going to be approaching this, the energy that they had on the previous game, their executes were ones where they tried to be sharp into the side itself. And to be honest, that could be something that w7m might be able to punish. If they can get themselves into that headspace that they sort of flirted with when they were playing against Heroic or in some of their other games, which was quick, sharp aggression, taking something out of the approaching danger when it is G2's turn to attack here could be a big blow, but they get to start on their defense. And they get to start on something which, you know, we had 2 back-to-back G2 Oregons during a UL.
Yep.
One, they sort of got pushed aside on it because the biggest criticism was they weren't very creative. They weren't very inventive for a team that can be. The second time they came back around, suddenly we started to get more of that G2 ideas. The fresh ideas of attack, it led them into the game a little bit more, and then obviously a success here. Is that going to be something they continue with in what is obviously a different playing environment?
That is going to be the big question here for this oh-so-important matchup where literally a tournament can be made or broken for either of these two teams. It's G2, again, within reach of qualifying. w7m within reach of, unfortunately, being knocked out. One playing here from Charlotte, the other one from Mexico City.
10 seconds left before
And as we're heading into the very first defensive round here, it's G2 that is setting up a defense over multiple different floors. But that's something we used to be seeing from the Meme. But we're also knowing exactly when they do decide to drop back towards the side.
I think that's always it, is we know how they like to play, and it's with an extension. Very quick pace here to T3. It's trusted there was nobody home and tried to catch somebody that might be somewhere else, but they've long since gone. They're not going to put themselves in a tricky situation. As I said, this is the pace. This is what w7m have been able to play with pretty well before. They're very quick to apply this pressure. Want to get the response there onto the player that's fleeing the grenades and the blitz, and there it is, Alamau! 360 with the shotgun, gets the pop back and locked, loaded, ready to go on anybody that might else try and come down. Citizen gets one more. You can see the rotations coming from Doki around the back of the stairs. Prano stops the approach. There's Doki, shows up, offers himself a head and a bit of support, and it was an attempt at a rush. It was attempted a bit of a pace, but with that take onto the blitz, it was otherwise very well read there from the response after that first take. 5 bodies in front of GDN to try and get rid of, and, well, a lot of time at least.
There's a lot of time. There's almost 2 minutes left, and only him left on the board here. Finds 2 of the bodies of his teammates. Here's some pre-fires coming in as well, and it's a flawless round. Alamau will be able to get the last shot out with that shotgun, and he started it off with that shotgun against the blitz for the 180. After that flash came through, secures G2's site as a result. And they now get that very first round underway, and 6 more to go for a playoff spot.
So Alamau was saved by the jammer.
Yes, exactly.
The mute jammer stopped the blind on the blitz. Mute mains rejoice. The 12 mute mains out there.
Attackers need
Rejoice.
to locate and
I think there's more.
There's probably
I think
actually
there's
quite a lot.
at least 50.
At least 15.
But yeah, I mean, the blitz shield, the electronics inside of it do not actually spark the bright light if you are within the jammer's reach.
Do you know what doesn't lose signal?
What do you say?
5-inch blade.
That's true. 5-inch blade never loses reception. And bleeping laser sights, that was also part of the quote. Either way, 1-0. That's the story. We're going to continue counting here because for one it's elimination, for the other one it is proceeding throughout tournament stages here. And for both, the same round count will matter here. So, with Doki preparing with an Electroclaw there, that is going to be a reinforcement Captain Pocket as well. He's watching the camera for some reason. Now, I don't think a head will appear up there, but as he sees it doesn't get destroyed, might actually be a telltale of the fact that no one is actually around the construction side.
Well, I guess now it's that bit of growth. For context on what needs to happen in this game, running the numbers, obviously with the distance and how this result can come together, w7m need at least 2 points to take a little bit of precedence here, so they need a win. If they get anything less than that, well, it's going to spell a bit of disaster. Citizen with a spray through teaches a lesson via the classroom, but Case with a very quick response there via Zulu gets it almost instantly. You can see Volps just trying to apply a bit of extra pressure here onto the side of Shower. They have themselves that stretch. They have themselves that bit of width and that early response, which was nothing they could catch before. Losing the Mavericks a blow, but with the Habana still on the board and some grenades, they can still get all of those walls open.
Of course, you know, it's not a complete loss like back in the early days where you would lose your Heart Breacher. It would be over and done with because it was only Thermite. We have many on the board now and a secondary Heart Breach gadget. So even if you lose one, there is often something to back it up here. As Hurts looking to go aggressive. A drone will lead in, but Asuya Laser Gate and Barbed Wire are going to give away his position here. As he's trying to get rid of it, he's going to be able to survive many, many times after some pre-fires are coming through. But of course, want these kills on the side of w7m.
Well, the Blade might not lose reception, but it definitely gets dangerously close. The pop on the top there of the mute is just going to allow them to get rid of it. They have the grenades if the X-Kairos themselves didn't get the job done. Didn't, so there's the grenade over the top. That's going to get the catch. Nakai Claw is going to follow up, waiting for the pop of the audio of the X-Kairos. It is very noisy from the range. The Claw is deployed quite low again, and it's back to life. If they have to put the cost of another grenade there, well, they don't really have anything to spend outside of the single one in the pocket of Herds. A bit of a back and forth, and he makes his first one connect there, and now he's going to see if he can try and just push and get aggressive into the side itself. Volps is watching for the rotate around the bottom of the stairs. As they lose the body on the approach trophy, they're going to swing around and take the head off, but it's suddenly Alamau! A triple all over the shop. Toki with the bat on the back, but I mean, I think he's feeling it.
If there is anybody that knows how to play against a Brazilian team, it's the Brazilian on the lineup of G2. Alamau with a massive triple kill there. Able to just flick here onto Volps, who was about to be ending a lot here. Look at that. Look at just within a single magazine of an SMG-11. How often do you see 3 kills come out of that?
Not often. But there's probably a higher collection of that in the G2 roster. They know how to use that gun, they know how to make it swing around, and they find themselves 2-0 up. Now onto the tertiary side. And they're actually one of those teams that still prefers to hold over onto dining. The most common third site, statistically, across the board is actually meeting.
Yeah.
Quoted as being because small tower is a lot of resources to hold on to that otherwise you can dedicate to a standard dorms hold, which you're already kind of familiar with. You have that lock ground onto dorms and attic. Okay, you're now watching over the other two sides. Here, you sort of got to isolate a player at least, and we've seen G2 punished for that.
We've seen him being punished for it indeed. And you know, back when the map just came back into rotation, what would often happen is a Showers hold. And I think that's actually what G2 is trying to set up here as well. But due to them having to put resources down there, that means that this top floor that they're currently setting up is going to be a bit understaffed. Maybe a couple less reinforcements to play with here, and that allows w7m to potentially find a safer way in, a more effective way in. As you see them already hopping into the small tower here, just some pistol shots are being sent in to put some damage through, but nothing will connect.
I mean, it's so fast here. Once again, w7m, they know what they can work with here, and pace is definitely one of the strongest parts of their arsenal. JV wants to take the drop here. 92 is going to see if he can try and get the dunk from the top rope, but otherwise, Virtue's just holding onto the shower corridor. He realizes he can't take that fight that aggressively. It was entirely overwhelmed. Swarmed, and well, that's a bit of pace onto the small tower. Throw yourself in. At least they didn't get the catch on a G2 player. I don't even think they had the time to get in before suddenly the Brazilian boots of w7m were all over the shop. They've got control. Now they're going to see what they can try and do with it. It starts with a bit of pressure here onto the top of the wall. They're hoping they can bait out a C4, but Alamau is not going to go fishing just yet.
Staying put for now. Hurts, though, trying to go aggressive over the Showers walls, hoping to find a bit of an entry here, but there is a tight angle from Citizen. He is one of those top fraggers in this game that is just going to be able to cleanly take your head off if you give him a second chance. And with that, he gets the opening kill yet once again for G2, a third in a row.
Now, what can they do and try and focus here around? There is obviously Citizen still in this power position on the swing round. He has that bit of an extension. I think he has a bit of support there onto the shower corridor as well, but it's the slow creep. The break over the top. A grenade is going to fly through sooner rather than later, so instead he actually moves closer. As the ADS starts to get burnt out, the disc is able to catch one more. He's hoping that they go deep with the grenade instead. As Alamau, he's trying to find the catch either side, swinging around. It's a new position from Citizen. Outside a shower, the Mute Jammer is going to make sure he doesn't get caught out by a drone or an intel, but you can see the back line of G2 is moving to a more and more comfortable position. Again, that's the danger of this site. You suddenly find yourself overwhelmed here. Alamau with the C4 doesn't get the catch, but they swing around and get the response either way. It's suddenly lighting up entirely on the favor. Kaze with a triple kill and a huge play with Volps, locking it in as the last one on the side.
That is a huge triple kill. There just decides to jump through with that LMG, holds it down, and is going to be able to find 3 members of the G2 side, whereas the rest of w7m was executing as well. There was nothing really they could do, completely overwhelmed them. And that is kind of why we don't really see the dining plate so often anymore, because the extra buffer zone you have is showers. It's not much. It's directly next to the site. Like, they will already be on every single door at the moment they do decide to strike. So as soon as showers falls, they have the entirety of dining instantly under control.
And that's entirely it. That's why it's not really a point of a lot of preference. It started to be one. At the very beginning when teams were saying, well, we can extend onto small, because stage was awkward. It was kind of uncomfortable to hold. You had to do the stretch, but we saw more and more teams sort of realize, well, why try and keep stage? Let's just make it an uncomfortable place to play. Do some range with some smokes, get ourselves locked in with a shield on the far side, a split, and suddenly, okay, we've got a plan, we've got a structure, and a rotate round onto kitchen here. That's not quite worked once again for G2. Back to the drawing board, or actually back to Laundry, where it was an attempt at a very quick play from w7m. It doesn't look like the same structure is put together. The Blitz is gone, as is the Amaru. Instead, what we get is a little bit more of a standard structure. A control of the roam with the Jackal, and maybe some picking apart here of Citizen early on.
Whereas that rush was met with a flawless from the side of G2, so very clear that that didn't really work. And, you know, doing it for a second time in a row, they'll definitely be ready for it. Citizen is going to get droned out in just a second from now. Herds is starting to ascend these stairs, but it seems like Citizen might be well aware of it, especially with the scan coming out.
Pre-fires are coming through, they're swinging and firing. They know they got to get out of there with the cover of, well, gunfire. And Herds is hot on the trail, but Citizen, he knows where he needs to angle himself. The pressure started to come through on the double window, so they're not going to stick around too long. Doki's locked up here. Volps suffers next. He's trying to eye up either side and realize without the support structure of anybody holding onto the second story, he's not safe. JV finds Prano. In the meantime, he's able to get at least one more. They're looking towards the side here on the take. Do they know about the body inside the server? Well, I'm more than happy to drone it out and get a little bit more clarity. There's pings on that player, the potential, but it's Citizen and Virtue with still Doki on the second story as well. How much are they trying to find that intel? How close are they? A little bit too much. Virtue has that cover, that support. There's the spray. They're able to find one. Do you know he's there? Now you do. JV gets another one for the trouble. Finds one more across the side of the stage, leaving just Alamau. A 3 versus 1 situation. Stacked up at the top of the stairs, waiting for maybe an approach. 1:30, and w7m have a lot of time to play with.
They have a lot of time, but they're very spread out now. They need to make sure they do not take 1v1s against Alamau, and that is one that just gets spotted. It's the first kill to come through, and suddenly there's a lot of opportunity here. They also know now, though, the freezer is completely clear to take. He has some pings to play by here, but he's thrown on the ground right behind the kitchenette there, and it gets taken out. GDN will find the kill, and w7m will be able to find a second. And G2 might have been a bit too aggressive here. They had an advantage. They decided that they wanted to rotate out. I mean, it is something they often do. They have that time as a trigger for them to decide to fall back. And right there, w7m was able to catch them as they decided to do so. And that is just pure counter-strutting.
It's the thing I love about w7m is they're so quick. They get themselves into these positions. They make sure they're able to respond towards, well, anything that comes to it. And I think that's one of those sharpnesses, that sort of flag that they love to wave, and it's a pressure that, as you said, is put quite heavily onto G2, who do have this fallback strategy. They're more likely to suffer for it because you don't really expect too many teams, especially in EUL, to be in those sort of catch positions that quickly, and then suddenly you've got 92 on your shoulder, you've got Volps putting the pressure in on Kaze. You've got to try and find a response. The Amaru quickly picked up there. The swap on the Twitch potentially locked in as well. It's not, again, the same full rush strategy, but again, it's that idea of let's get in and get them by surprise.
Some of you might be wondering, all right, you know it's downstairs now. Why would you be taking the Amaru as an operator? And it's just solely meant to get into the top of the tower quickly, in tier 3, and you start going down, you start securing down, because that tower is such a big and important access point. Like, someone could be hiding in there, go for a late flank on wherever you want to actually go for a push, so you need to clear that out. And that's exactly what the Amaru can do. However, they did decide to go off at the last second.
You can see he had to finish the animation. It got caught out by the jammer and got caught out again. They don't quite have the angle. Okay, there's no way that one can get jammed, and they found an entrance for it. As the window gets shot open, it's Hurts trying to put the pressure here across the top. The Buck is about to make a very quick entrance here. Does he know that somebody's lying just on the other side? No, that's it. Prano, he gets off drone very quickly. He hoped they'd go for a bit of a swing, but if there's anything that w7m also do alongside being quick, it's being thorough with the drone game. If they miss Prano, that could be something where it's a bit of a mistrust and a misplay.
He's going to quickly into the attic here, though. See some barricades, opens up into the bunk bed as well, and Doki gets picked up. However, I believe Prano is still around and could still strike as Virtue finds a trade.
That's over Attic. Virtue came his way back round and is able to take care of the Buck, and suddenly they've got a little bit more pressure. But Virtue, as you said, he's taken that power position. Alamau finds at 92, gets response and revenge for the round where it played out before, and Prano, he's still there. He's still waiting. He's still hoping that he can get a catch here, and obviously when you've got, you know, the Finker, the hard breach in this push, how aware are you? Aware enough. GDN locks it in. Prano, his number was called. There was only really one route out there. I don't think the Buck rotation was one that he could use, but he didn't want to in the end. He sort of hoped he could pull himself back in. 3 versus 3, a minute 20, and again, this quick place, this quick sort of way they get into the building means that they still have a lot of time to structure.
Yeah, a minute and 15 seconds on that clock. Mute jammers are being taken out just to get those drones past and make sure you can take out piece of utility, camera equipment, every single thing. So pre-fires are attempted but won't be able to find anything. It only gives away where you will be pushing from at some point. And with these hatches now opening up, it's w7m that will give themselves extra opportunity to go for an execute. But with 3 members of G2 and time still dwindling, they do need to make a decision here.
And they've opted to go with a little bit of attention down towards Freezer, I think. I don't know if they were trying to trade the kit there. Yes. Now it is. They finally do it. They get it off, and they're going to try and push here onto this other side. They realize that, well, maybe we can try and go down the tower stairs at the same time. The smoke canister stops the approach here. The grenade goes towards that Crux position. Virtue sprays through, but it's Alamau that gets his second for the round, caught out by Kaze on the far side. He's now trying to put some pressure in, but 20 seconds. They're eyeing up the plant spot itself. Virtue's got the swing round onto Elbow. The pings are coming through onto that breach. There's the head taken off. The kit is cold. The reveal of the camera says, well, we know where you are, Volps. Do you? No, Virtue with a triple kill across the round, I believe, gives G2 a bit of control back.
Good of a hold there. I mean, it was a 3-on-3, and they tried to go for a push, but as soon as that first kill goes Alamau's way, I mean, yes, he got sandwiched between the freezer, between the big stairs, but the rest of G2, those last 2 players of Virtue and Citizen, were still in good positions to clutch it out, and Virtue able to pick up both those kills is definitely going to be helping him as well through this. And with G2 now in 3 rounds, they're looking for their 4th to win this half.
Well, if they can get themselves on the 4-2, as I said, it's one of those maps that can play well to that. It gives you a little bit more to work with. They're very creative on their attack. You might be able to swing in, but w7m can be a bit plucky on their defense too. They can still fight into this, and they might still be able to find themselves a 3-3 half. It is a bit more back and forth than it seemed like it would be at the very beginning. And that's that engine that sometimes, when you are in this do-or-die situation, it's tough to keep it revved.
For sure. And G2, well, looking for 3 points to secure. You said it before, w7m looking for 2 to stay in the fight. But even if they will get 2 points, they need to get every single point available since that, so all 6 tomorrow, and need to make sure that G2 and Heroic are not going to be able to pick a point. So G2, no points at all. Heroic, less than w7m is going to be getting themselves. So even those 2, I mean, that is the bare minimum, but it is going to be very unlikely they would still make it.
There's a chance, but it's a narrow one. Whereas G2, they get the full 3 here. Oh, they are looking very good, and that is that energy they bring into the last day themselves. Citizen is opening himself up an angle here. There's pings on the player, but they're already in on Armory. They're not wasting any time. They realize that they're off the site, and again, the pace comes through. Herds gets that early take onto Alamau. Now they're going to look into Trophy across the side of Attic. It's being reinforced quite late on there, and there was a rotate that came through. The spray and the catch on the arm doesn't quite get it. Keys takes a huge amount of damage on that risk. They had a bit of intel, and it was almost through for them, but instead, it's come at a bit of a cost here. The side of a C4 is going to be all that is needed to remove that player. The Ash is trying to be as quick as possible. The spray comes through. Doki's able to get the connection there with the player over the top. Another drone, another bit of intel, another bit removed. But look, they're inside. Not for very long, but you, the C4 is able to instantly remove Vaults on that approach.
Citizen aware that someone is still on the outside of this building as he heard the window pop. It hurts playing right below it. He could be either choosing to ascend the stairs or rappel to the side. And with Citizen going even more aggressive now, knows someone is on the master bedroom balcony here, tries to find a fight, but decides that he needs to pull off. It is better to just play passive now rather than trying over aggressive. He sees someone hop in the window. JV92 is going to get picked up from below by Virtue. The verticality working out. Citizen finds one more, and it's a 1v3. GDN finds one, but needs to find two more.
He's looking for the burn through all the time. The pings are giving them the intel on one player, but he knows the other one was underneath. Has the kit at least as a possibility, and is going to lead his way through, but the cover is there from Citizen. 4-2 for their defensive half there for G2. It's obviously far from over, but that is that energy they can take through onto the second half.
It is energy and a scoreline that they will be more than happy with here. Is Virtue in a very important position, actually. Con off JV92. Suddenly, there's a lot of opening for the side of G2 to retake your own side that they lost so very early on. You said it, they were already inside. The C4 popped, all right. You've slowed down the bleeding a little bit, but the w7m members were still seeping in bit by bit until that kill came through. And now a 4-2. We're going back to the laundry. Will G2 realize? Will they go for a push themselves? I like to see the Ossa on the board for Prano. Often it is that talent shield that will be used in the first instance to try and take a gunfight near the barrels, near the elbow to get rid of the smoke player, and afterwards to try and get a plant on the board. But with the mirror still in play, Alamau on that Twitch is going to be very important because I feel like they want to be setting up that mirror in a way that they will rely on it for their setups. If a Twitch drone then goes, ooh, no, he goes off. It's going to be a Ying that comes in.
5 seconds left.
So that is going to be an interesting way. Depends on where these mirror windows will be set up. Might actually come back to haunt them in the end.
All right, W7M, what do you have in the canister? And is it going to be an early peek here through the door? I know that you're quite excited about the prospect. Well, there's one. Virtue very quickly removed off the board, and Warden, he's getting out of there. He's realizing that his time is limited. He's got to try and get an escape route through, and, well, he almost finds the second. Doki, look to see if he can get a response here. The fight is actually going to be extended, and Alamau is the one that actually gets the lock-in. However, we find ourselves in the 4 versus 4. Herds is able to at least get one more back, gets the response for just me matando, Smalls. You're killing me, Smalls. Now as they find themselves swinging and missing for baseball. Portuguese back and forth and pull back as they push themselves towards Pillar.
We'll be pushing back indeed. Alamau, he only needed a single bullet for Hertz, but unable to connect that in the end. And that leaves us in that 3v4 situation. G2 on a man disadvantage here on their first attack. They would more than happily lock this one off with a win instantly, but it doesn't seem like it will come easily. W7M is definitely trying to fight back here, and G2 need to find a way to reconvene. And it seems like that will be a construction and back staircase push. Get those 2 LMGs working, get that Finka boost in as well, and start holding down that left mouse button, hoping that you'll find the kills.
Talking to Smalls, the swing comes around. Doki, battle back, 92 has the lock in and is just going to hold off the angle here. The 3 versus 2. There's still 2 of the talent shields in the pocket of Ossa, and 2 smokes and 2 grenades. They have a lot of utility. They can try and drive, but there's also that in the pockets against them. The impacts in the C4 could be something that keep them at a bit of an arm's length. They're trying to formulate a route through here. At this point, they've done some damage, but not a huge amount to the structure of the site itself. They've got angles, got ideas, but tried to just force themselves through. They want to hit this, but as soon as they do, you assume there might be a bit of a response, as he does. There isn't. A minute, though. Gives you the time to play around with that.
Sending a drone in as well to make sure they have some information here. Might have spotted out the player from Frolps here on this half-wall. He's trying to take the fight left and right. Grenades are being tossed in, none left currently. Citizen takes small amount of damage, but has, of course, the Adrenaline Surge to help himself back up. JV quickly aware of the fact that someone could be coming barrels and an impact, dealing more damage than Citizen would like.
Volps now trying to be a backline here, the support, and finds it perfectly taken there onto Citizen. Swung out with 92 being the lock-in at the end there. Another round for w7m, an important one. The first on their defenses. A little bit of comfort, a little bit of solidity, and still only a difference of 1 between the two teams. It is more than able for them to start biting their way back in.
It definitely closes the gap a little bit here for w7m, which means they still have an opportunity to fight for this one. So headed towards the dorms. That is G2 with another attack. It seems like the Nomad might be brought out. w7m, not really any strange operator currently brought to the board. And of course, they do not have that repick, so this will be the 5 they will play with. Whereas G2 has the opportunity to try and rethink their way around this round.
I think that's it with G2 as well, because, you know, when we've talked about them not quite having the full creative ideas that we like to see them play with on their attacks, on Oregon, they started to sort of grow into it, obviously, and then they had a great performance before. I mean, you're getting a taste of them back and forth in the previous game against Heroic. They obviously found themselves 4-2 on the half, but then started to put a bit more of a distance in. Here, it's a bit back, as we said. w7m love to lean into the fight, and they definitely are. They're making sure that G2 are aware of where they want to try and take this.
For sure. And G2, well, they have made some changes to their lineup. We see the Yana coming out. There was a change. The Nomad and the Lion who've been added to the roster here. And, you know, always when you see Lion, there is always 2 ways to go about it. It's either going to be a quick rush, a quick push, or they're going to be using this on the back of drones, trying to lock someone in its place so you can go for an early entry, or you can go for a gunfight, moving it slightly into your favor.
Now, the Lion is an operator that w7m used very well before on some of their earlier games. Didn't really opt for it this time round, but Alamau is instead going to be the Brazilian player that decides to try and bring some of that map and space control. As we said at the very beginning of this, and why I get to quote coming-of-age baseball movies, when they kill each other, they know each other very well. And yeah, as you pointed, that drone, they know that player is there. Are they going to reveal it? Yeah.
There's going to be the drop. Volps will be falling back towards the basement, but look at that. The E1D pops off. Alamau knows that there is only one way he can come out of. He's going to go for a pre-fire here, but he misses the opportunity. It is luckily against the Roni. Will quickly run out, and it's the entry kill for G2.
Well, now as they get that camera drop, they're just making sure they don't have somebody else swing into them. As we said, the 7-second window of revenge is kind of something that most teams try and play around. w7m, they're no different, but the distance is the reason we didn't quite have the deference of let's try and get one back. They've still got a site to control, and they can't just entirely throw themselves at the chance of finding a bit of a response. White Stairs is where we're angling for a lot of control here. A huge amount of G2 bodies and presence are around this part of the play, and I think they're a bit concerned of where they might be struck from next. You can see that they're being cautious, but it's a caution as the structure is built elsewhere.
You have to be cautious in these current situations. You found yourself at an advantage. You do not want to toss that away. For a second I was afraid there that it would walk right into the grenade as it pops through, but no damage taken. And Doki now on these white stairs, looking to find an angle, looking to find a gunfight here. Spots him, takes up the head, but instantly traded out by 92.
Very well played there by 92. He held the pre-fire onto the stairs, expected somebody to come through and was rewarded for it now. GDN is doing everything he can to stop anyone approaching from the attic side. The shotgun, when it's locked and loaded from this range, is unstoppable. Plays away from the flash. The swing from Citizen might come through at the same time. He knows this, but he doesn't quite get it. It's the trade-off. 92 held them at bay, is spraying through and is making sure that they still have some support and connection, doing everything to keep this round as something that w7m might be able to pull together. The pings come through, the cover's on white stairs, the kid's in a position to plant, but so is Virtue around the back stairs.
Well played. A bit of peekaboo here. I mean, he wasn't a window earlier, was putting down a lot of bullets down range, and at the moment he's like, all right, I need to get rid of this window player first. He jumps into the attic, he gets him from behind, and G2 now leading 5-3. A very convincing round here on the dorms. And it all started off with that first E1D, picking up the roamer. You basically force them to drop with that drone. then you use the E1D to lock him off. I mean, someone else was watching the staircase from Freezers. Alamau was watching the Freezer exit, so there was no way out for him alive. The best thing he could have probably done was stay inside there, but he doesn't know either. He's being hunted down like he was. And now, w7m continuing the rotation. We're headed towards the stage.
5-2-3, G2, 2 rounds separate you from that full fat 3 points and that seat at the top of the table. And only 2 rounds separate you, w7m, from unfortunately finding your run at the major, at least with a chance of playoffs ending today. There is still a chance to fight though, because there's also just the difference in the distance between you and your opponents. You can still build from this, as they find themselves structured and set up down on that mid floor, and they try and get some of this control.
Now, I really like seeing the use of that Lion. It's not always an operator that is the best to use for a rush, but more so to isolate roamers. You drone them out, you use the E1D, you lock them in their position, or at least you know where they'll head at that moment in time. And that is what I liked to see from G2 in that last round. And they'll bring it again, potentially for the exact same purpose. Try and find someone that is currently off site, try and circle around that person, use the E1D, just press the trigger and get the kill. And if they do so successfully, they might find another entry if it wasn't for Keys finding Citizen.
There it is, there's the opener, Citizen's off the board. He's been able to keep himself biting in this game. Sure, he's not the top of the frag sort of selection here, but Virtue and Alamau, he's definitely helped support their structure and keep themselves going into it. Not to say the same about w7m, who have that even split. It is blow for blow and toe to toe. Here, Doki just swung around on the side of the garage. Herds isn't too far away on split. The pre-fire's on the angle. They're trying to, I guess, prop up for a chance to take here on split. But as we said, the most common in terms of an approach from the side of the attackers is actually onto stage, because you can kind of get yourself in with a little bit more control.
Yes, but that's often where we see an operator like Ossa coming out as well to have a bit more safety going for a plant. Because if you look at the right-hand side, look at all the impacts available. Still 5 on the board. If you're going for a plant, you will be exploded into many, many different kind of pieces here. So Prano, well, as he does open up, there is still the idea to go for a plant behind that table, but JV is in a crucial position to stop that from happening.
That's it. If he goes unchecked, none aware, I mean, there's the swing round. Alamau's got himself onto the split. He's just behind the podium, just behind the sandbags, and just tucked in on a corner. Was that a bit of a reveal of position at the very end there? It might have just been on our end, but either way, he's also on a soft hatch with an impact. Sure, you'll take a bit of a scratch if you take it as an option out, but it's an option out. An option out is also one that you can use as a rotate and a bit of pressure. If he's unchecked on this hatch, he could be big. There's the check, there's the reveal, doesn't take it, but Prano takes Volps in the meantime. 4 versus 4, Doki around the backside, does he know? Well, he did, but he didn't quite know it as well. There it is, Herds! A huge bit of destruction there onto the backboards. Virtue bites back at 2 versus 3, though. It is maybe just enough to stop the onslaught. Alamau's going to see if he can find his way onto the kitchen, but his approach is revealed. Finds 1, can't quite get the second. And it's 2 versus 1. Virtue, 2 more bodies to try and take out.
It's a miracle he actually got that first kill there, and now it's a 1-on-2 situation. Both of them are starting to eye up the opportunity of going for Virtue, going for the OCE player, but they actually give him some space. He comes around the corner, spots one, he's not quite able to connect. The time is slowly running out, and they're trying to play peekaboo with him here, and GV will be able to find that kill, and w7m will find another round.
4-5 now. It's still back and forth. That's, well, I mean, it's not ideal, but at least they're making sure they're not sitting on map point, because then it becomes a very different story. They are still in a position where they need at least the 2 points and then a lot of other magic things to happen together, and, well, they want the full 3. Anything less than that, I think, still puts a huge bit of pressure on, because it's not just about what they get, but it's also what they stop G2 getting. The team that currently sits in a position to fight not only for first, but pretty comfortably second.
Yeah, that's it. They G2 currently in a position of potential success for that first major with this roster. Of course, massive rework coming through. Alamau from Brazil coming over. So having Prano come in from a fellow European League team, Doki from the side of Navi. And with that, it is going to be veterans inside a siege. And round 10 will shortly be in the way.
We're back in, baby. We're back in trying to find ourselves here, and, well, it's all still eyes on w7m. They're only 1 round short of being level pegging here against G2, finding themselves still fighting for the chance. The full 3 points is obviously the most desired for anybody on any game in any performance. What am I saying? Ha ha ha. Okay, but you've got to take into consideration, again, how this isn't just a 3-point game, it's a 6-point game.
Yeah, because w7m needs G2's current position to go through to playoffs. They need that second place, and that means that if they get 3 points and you don't, as you mentioned, the difference is now 6.
Exactly, and G2 is obviously one of the 2 teams that, well, they've also got to play again after this. They're 2 games tomorrow. W7m have Heroic and G2. No more showdowns against DZ, which was obviously 1 win, 1 loss. But they have a position here to really set themselves up to get the same technical results depending on how this goes. Even if they lose against G2 right now, they might still get a win, but that's a much worse story than if you get the win first and might be able to find a bit of a difference maker. Heroic, again, they're still on the board, they're still competing. They have a game against DZ, who are pretty much secured. I believe it's close to.
No, actually.
Yeah,
because
I hate maths.
If G2 was still playing against DarkZero as well, wins from DarkZero 3 points, Heroic wins 3 points, suddenly both those teams are an equal. And that could mean that round differential comes in at the very end of things again. So it is a good old tiebreaker story time and time again. So no, DarkZero not quite secure yet. I think they need a single point though to be secure. Yeah.
Of round differential. It always rears its head.
Or tiebreakers.
Or tiebreakers. Yep. And that's that sort of. I mean, Alamau's familiar with those.
Yeah, he is. He won a tournament on the back of one.
I mean, it's always that statistic that people love to quote, especially analysts and how that played, and they want to avoid that entirely. G2 here. They've obviously got themselves back in after the tech problem. They're going to see if they can try and drive themselves quite quickly. Citizen is looking for an engagement here. He's been having, as we said, a good game. Not the best on his team, but he's still at least even. He's been finding engagements and kills and getting in on what is an aggression that is often met by w7m, who sort of set themselves up with usually a lot of a spread of the map, but here it's quite controlled. They're still sort of sitting all around on the flat of the floor itself. The basement is theirs to sort of contend and content with. And here you can see G2's going for a slow and steady clear.
This is going to be crucial. Is Alamau going to be able to get a zap off on one of these mirror windows? No, the first one fails. I'm not quite sure if he has the other one in position, but otherwise that means no more Twitch drones, which means that these 2 mirror windows will stay in position. Had a quick opportunity to fire for one, but wanted to get his drone into cover to potentially have a clearer shot. Failed that, and that means 5 of the w7m players are on site with mirror windows, with shields, with a lot of utility to defend.
That's it. Look at the utility being thrown out. The Kite Claw is just going to get that. The Moto hatch. You can see Alamau's trying to put some pressure onto the door itself. There's a bit of a hold there towards Shaiko corner, towards... Yeah, there he is. Just the sliver of the Jaeger. Do you go for the swing on the fight? The Barb will give it away. The pings are continual. He hopes to catch it, but you got to remember where you're playing. Oh, doesn't quite get the connection there. He's able to slip himself towards the bottom of the staircase, though he can't quite get the firefight. And the smoke canister, very well played there again. The utility game from w7m on this hold has been really well put together.
The smoke was already pre-placed as well, so probably as soon as that barbed wire would have gone off, it would have popped. But that grenade was also plenty of reason to stop them from pushing through potentially as soon as they cleared Shaiko. Now, GDN is trying to fall back. C4 still primed and ready to go towards the E-box here if they do decide to go for a big drop, which could be a massive double kill for the side of w7m.
That's it, Kaze. He's trying to lean into the firefight. He wants to keep them guessing. 20 seconds, all 10 players on the board. It's going to be absolute chaos as the drop comes through. The first fight goes against them. Kaze is dropped but not finished off and locked in, so they're going to see if they can put some pressure onto Pillars. They can't quite get him back up, but with 10 seconds on, there's still more pressing things. The push comes through, 2 kills either side there. The lock in, 8 seconds, 7. Oh dear, G2, find yourself towards the site. Suddenly, it bites back. Prano wants to stick it. They don't have the watch.
Oh no,
it's all over the top. They can't quite get the connection.
Oh, what are you doing?
It's a round in. He pulled off the kit.
What are you doing, Prano? Why do you go off at that moment? Yes, he was coming, but you still had time. You're giving it away here. And that is 5-5. w7m might be a bit confused as well. You see it on your screens. They're looking at it. There is pressure. They're not too happy, but a round just gifted to them by G2 there.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's one of those things with that decision. Obviously, you never really know the comms, the calls, and what's going on, but you do know one thing, that as soon as you let go of that key, the round is a loss, whatever happens.
There is no reason ever to stop planting a diffuser if the timer hits 0.
The timer was in 0. And whether they knew that or didn't know that,
Yeah. That's the whole point. Did they think they had time?
did they think they had a second, or did they think it was 0? It's still a mistake. And it's one that, at least for now, costs them that point. But W7M, you've just got a little bit of a blessing. Can you turn it into a tale as old as time? Which is coming back to find a win here. Both teams, 1 round separates them from at least securing OT. 2 from the full 3 points, and either life or death.
And a point would have been very big for the side of G2 here. I mean, that would have put them in such a good position for the remainder of these group stages here, and of course for this matchup as well, where if they find 2 points in OT, they're not confirmed, but they are looking very likely to be so. And now they might have just as well, you know, with that round going the way it did, they could lose the entire matchup. That is a breaching charge that quickly shot out before he could detonate. Some quick responses
No breach
from W7M. Like, that wall stays put. You're going to have to move through yourself. Doki will try and do so, but actually gets picked up by Keys.
Very well played there by Keys. He had the taste of a player around that side. They were trying to drone it out, and instead of leaning down, pushed in to the fight and just went that little bit wider. Caught Doki a bit unaware, who expected it from the Aruna gate instead, and now he's sort of once again in this position of, okay, well, I can try and hold on to this for as long as possible, but with man advantage, what do we want to do? That player drops down. The hatch on the rotate, you could see the pings were coming through, so they're aware of this, and how aware are they? It looks like they want to try and put some shots through. They do. They catch the side of Herds. They've got the rotation. The E1D. There's fire onto the window itself, but it's Herds that actually gets the confirmation, and now they're out of there. W7M have been able to take a moment and turn it into sunshine.
And this is going to be even more painful for the side of G2 because they had an opportunity of match points. Guess what? It looks like a match point will be up against them due to a small slight error of letting go of a key and Keys. He's not wanting to slow down. He's wanting to swing even more. He's willing to pick up these kills. They've leaned into the aggression here and are looking to punish G2.
Wow. 3 G2 players remain. They have over a minute. They're trying to find at least one more catch here. So they find themselves hurtling, as you said, towards the wrong side of a map point. And Herds is hurtling towards the fight either side. They keep leaning in, and there's Prano at least getting one back for the side of G2. Case, who, as I said, he loves to stick into these positions and hold them. Held it very well. He's already been able to do a lot. And there's still a lot left here for G2 to do. So can they make anything of it, or has the work been a little bit too much to surmount? You can see the pressures coming from Attic. You can see the slow creep and crawl is all the way through. They have a backline and they still have a man advantage. They also have verticality, so they can take the 3 versus 3 fight here and they can just try and lock it in, but Citizen's going to see if he can try and do business. 20 seconds though, and he's got to make it risky quick business. The grenade over the top, the swing round, the concern about the player under the bottom. They're holding down the... Ooh, Thorn almost got the catch there. There's a take for Virtue. They lose the body above. Prano's going to try and slip his way in. They're looking for the fight over the back of the rafters. They're buried behind the bed. Volps suffers. Prano suffers a little bit more. He's going to see if he can stick it on the close angle. Virtue can't get the idea of where they are. They're hopped up, dropped down. They're deep. They're spraying over the top. It's Prano. He's just going to hold on, but the rotation comes through. W7M are sitting on map point.
This time he holds on, but it's not quite lasting as there was no cover around this time anymore. And W7M around away from picking up 3 against G2, which was a very scrappy first 2 kills that they managed to get. G2 shouldn't have lost those, but they did in the end. And that pushes us towards a 5-6 situation now. W7M a single round away, and it looks like they want to finish it off in dining.
It was a 4-2 on the opener half. It still can be here. Their future, their fate is in the hands of W7M. And it seems like G2 are aware of this. They're going to take a timeout. They still had it. And they may as well use it here because, well, outside of the round where they pulled off the diffuser, What is the difference? What is that missing distance for them to be able to secure it? A game where, when they're in control, they have looked like it was cruise control. And then otherwise, it looks like they just can't get the things to land in the places they want them to, even if it's just use of utility.
Yeah, and if you're looking at it, I think the only big mistake they've made was in that round. And of course, there was a lot of pressure. You know, I don't know what the calls were. Maybe it was told, like, Prano's right in front of you, you know, and he got off the diffuser as a result of it. So we don't know. We don't know what happened there. But it's like the only true big mistake that has cost them a round directly that I can spot within a couple of seconds. W7m, they've been able to hang on. And yes, they've made some mistakes themselves, but overall, their willingness to run around the map, to make these, make this ground, make sure they're everywhere and nowhere at the very same time, and allowing them to strike at G2 when they do not expect it, keeps them in the game at a very important moment in time.
Okay, W7M, I mean, I know you feel all of Brazil behind you. And I know that this is a moment where you can really try and put the pedal to the metal and give yourself that little glimmer and glint of hope into the final third day. This would be the first full fat win they were able to take after getting an OT before, and it could really catapult them in towards a good position in a group that is still yet to be decided. The Glaz is that pickup here from Citizen that, well, I guess we'll see how it rolls. 6 smokes. What are they going to do with it? I'm kind of curious.
It kind of speaks for itself, right? I mean, I was more so confusing Citizen on the Glaz, and then you see those 6 smokes, and I'm like, all right, I guess they just want to smoke, put down a talent shield, go for a bit of a plant, and you look over to the right-hand side, and what do you see? A single impact left. They had 6 before, just 1 now, and that is going to be putting them under some pressure here if they want to stop this plan from happening, and that didn't quite just blow up what they wanted it to.
No, they wanted it to get the top of the walls. The showers becomes much tougher to hold. Case suffers a little bit round, but not entirely locked in. Alamau of the Nook. The grenades might be able to cause some destruction here over the side, but G2 wants to make sure they don't overplay their hand. Doki gets the opener, but a great Echo drone that's gone uncontested here on the top of small towers, just giving the read on every single step that G2's taken. They have no idea. GDN, he's able to manipulate himself into a position here, and they're just going to let Herds be that cooler over the top. There's the next to fall. Citizen gets that lock in, and now with the grenades heading over the top, the pressure is starting to go. Cooked further and further into Shower. The shield doesn't survive. That puts Volps in a tricky situation. He's doing his best, but Shower is pretty much impossible. 5-2. Citizen, he's going long arm, but he's able to get stopped there, and now they're going to see if they can stick it. The smoke on the close corners. The Echo drone can't get it. Prano, he learned his lesson before. He sticks it this time around to post plant. Now GDN sprays back. It is just down to GDN. Alamau is able to get one in amongst the mess, and well, it looks like we are hurtling towards OT. They were so close, but not quite over yet. They still have the chance. 2 points is what they need right now. Anything less than that, and the run for W7M is over.
2 rounds. The next 2 out of 3 they need if they want to survive, if they want to be living on a dream of small percentages of being able to make it. Because everything else needs to go their way. That is the truth of it. They need to get 6. They need to make sure that Heroic doesn't outdo them, as in get 6 points tomorrow. And they need to make sure that G2 would not be able to pick up any points tomorrow. And with that here, with that now, the pressure is on. Of course, G2, they're not going to be locking themselves in now.
No.
I don't think. They'll put themselves on 9 if they win. They would be 6 ahead of Heroic. However, round differential will be the decisive factor as the first tiebreaker. So like a 7-0, 7-0 loss would truly put them at the bottom of that one. So nothing is decided yet for G2, and it cannot be either.
And that's the thing. If G2 end up on the 2 points, we could still have 3 teams at the end of tomorrow on 9 points. And obviously, that makes things fun.
It does make things fun. It keeps us on our toes. It allows us.
Although DC and G2
yes,
play each other, so they wouldn't all be on 9 points, don't they?
No, if they're playing each other, someone will be getting points.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're wrong.
So, yes. We're technically
We're
wrong.
building too much hype, because the most hype we need to build right now is for W7M. They need 2 points. They need 2 points to have a shot, a chance, a dream. Well, a dream to continue. Anything less isn't going to quite meet the mark. A disconnect, unfortunately, quite early on. And we'll just keep going. As Alamau's going to see if he can try and put the pressure on. I think at the 30-second mark now, G2's going to see what they can otherwise do with this. And they also have their questions. They're not ones that we answer.
No, we will not.
That's above our pay grade.
That's above us here, so we will not say anything about that. It is best teams in the world to some of the most experienced players in the world. And there's so much they can take in and try and implement into their game to improve themselves even more, to start to become even more dominant inside of your BR6 league.
Vaults with the G2 background.
Providing some support, because Alamau decided not to.
Alamau,
neither does Virtue.
Well, I think Alamau maybe just forgot Virtue as well.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I've been seeing it on quite a couple of operators here, but it doesn't seem to be hurting anybody currently at the major. It could still. It definitely could still.
You never know.
You never know. As we're headed into a bit of a sprint here. The first one to get 2 rounds in the very next 3 is going to be taking home 2 points. Whoever is getting either 1 or 0 rounds in these next 3 is finding themselves with just 1. Now for G2, that 1 point is starting to set themselves in stone for a playoff spot, but not quite yet. For W7M, it means elimination. It means flying back home after tomorrow.
All right, 6-6. Who is going to be the one to first get the break? Statistics would make you believe this first round should be W7M's. And, well, it might be a back and forth on the second, depending on where G2 go. But this site has statistically been a bit of a lock-in for them. And they're going to see if they can make that trend continue, regardless of whether it's built off their own back or a bit of a slip-up from G2. Those slip-ups only happened because the pressure was applied by W7M. So we'll never know the calls and the comms that made it happen, but you know it was because of the fear that they were about to swing their way round. And they're still going to make sure that they make them a bit scared. Virtue going for the clear over the top here on 2 dorms, trying to find the loose players. But once again, well, I say that, there is at least one that's around there. Usually at this point they've tried to pull themselves back. Push on the E1D, no reveal, no push, no swing. When you're going to take the option? Ooh,
Actually got shot as he drops through that hatch. He was a bit confused there. Like, where did that bullet come from? Looked over towards the armory hallway as well, but that is of course not where it came from. Now, G2 have been able to take that top floor control. Now working on the middle one, but Doki needs to be careful. There is one that has, I believe, just dropped down below into the freezer. And the second player has gone as well. So I believe that is now full top and mid floor control.
That's it. But it's a slower approach than it was before. So Doki's going to see if he can try and make up for a bit of lost time. Drops the camera, gets the swing round, and they're going to try and get some of the structure across the other side. Before, obviously, the push came down onto E-Box. It came down onto a bit of the destruction onto tower side. They swung around and tried to find the fight there instead of onto freezer, though there was a bit of a push when it came to shove. That's where most of the shoving occurred. It's still a bit of a stretch, it's still a bit of a stress as they get themselves set up for this approach, but W7M, they're sort of sitting, waiting, and ready to catch them.
Second exothermic charge will be used up to open up yet another hatch into the E-Box. This one is. Now that might be quite dangerous though if they want to drop through, because we saw before 92 was willing and looking to get the Nitro cell in for a double kill. Unfortunately wasn't able to find anything, but still has one in pocket this time around. Alamau opening up on the barrels is going to be creating a bit of pressure onto the blue, onto the elbow here as well, and shortly they will find out that indeed it is GDM playing here.
Yeah, he's preemptively using those smokes, as we said. He's making sure that they just have time wasted, because when they do, the pressure comes through. The ping, the E1D comes out on the other side with K stuck in onto Harry Potter, looking towards Shaiko. He's hoping to see if he can get the catch on anybody that swings just a little bit too wide on a wing. More pressure, but 30 seconds now. And we're going to start to get a bit of the dive down onto the E-Box hatch. He leans in, puts through the smoke and the blind, but he can't quite get the cement on the kill. Pick back up, the grenade's going to buy it, but it's Herds with a C4 double into E-Box. Prano bites back, but it's 92 once again lighting up on the side. Citizen, He's able to find at least one, but the kid is cold on the far side. The two remaining players just going to have to try and drive themselves into the site. The shotgun doesn't quite get the catch that it wants to, but there's a bit of a response and revenge there. They pull themselves back. The two players have a crossfire. They have space. They have an angle. He has no more time. And this first round, it's going to w7m.
Double kill with a nitro cell there. I mentioned it before. That's what he's aiming for the E-box drop. This time able to find it as well. And that means match points yet once more for w7m, who are looking to stay in it. And are calling for a tech, so they might be having some issues here that need to be solved before we get on the way with potentially a last round.
It's adding drama. Well, it's difficult to sort of organize that, because the rules are that both coaches are allowed to talk during a tactical. Obviously, because it was a mistake here, Shas wasn't, so they gave Shas there 45 seconds to talk, whilst the w7m coach wasn't talking, just to make sure that everybody has the same time. That is what we were checking there. Nobody's broken any rules, just a little bit of a miscommunication that is now sorted. Obviously, when you're typing in a language that is not your first, I mean, you know this.
I do.
Technical and tactical. I mean, I couldn't tell you what those words are in Portuguese. I couldn't even tell you what is close.
I can tell you what it's like in Dutch, but that's as far as I can go.
So, everything is all cool, everything is all gravy, and everything might be w7m's. They are still just one round away, once again, this time for the 2 points, this time for the chance of still fighting.
Yep, and they need one more round out of the next two that we are playing to secure that. So let's see if they will be successful, or whether or not G2 is going to be able to fend off this next attack and will be able to attack themselves successfully.
All the way to the top of the floor as the E1D pops up at the same time. They hope to catch a player, but the player was like, I know what's going on here. I'm not sticking around. This was the actual way that we saw the first round open, and it did not end well for w7m. It's a little bit of a gamble to see if they can lock it down. They don't swing all the way around, though. That's a bit of a difference here. Last time they did this push, Herds instantly tried to find the fight down onto Pillar, but lost out, and then suddenly everybody started to lose out from the side. This time he's waited just a little bit more.
No heart breaching, nothing on the board they can use to open up any of these hatches. So there's only one way this will be ending. They will be descending these stairs. They will be coming in from the barrels and try and overwhelm the G2 defense. And with that first kill coming in, Keys, he's opening up onto Virtue here, and that might be a very important one at that.
It's it. That is the start of potentially something here. But look at this. On the far side, down Laundry, Volps is going to see if he can clean up and come out. Herds has gone for the rotate. There's more pings and pressure that's coming through. The pre-fire onto the door to make sure they don't move behind it. And Alamau's close with a shotgun, swings and bops. But nobody's home. They might not know about Volps, and that's the big blow right now, because look at all of the G2 bodies. The backs are turned towards this side. The grenade's going to maybe give a bit of a game away to Volps. I don't think he knows just how undetected he is right now. He's a bit concerned, a bit curious, and he could be huge. If he's able to lean in and go just round on the swing, you can see that they're still sort of holding themselves in. The hot ping comes through, the pressure down onto the Pillar player. They slip, oh, not very far. There's another pop of the E1D. Volps finally moves in. It's back and forth, the triple. But there's Citizen, and now it is only Citizen left as the only chance of being able to pull the full 2 points here and pretty much get themselves locked towards the top of the board. This is it, w7m, the 2 versus 1. GDN and 92. They just need to find this last player. They're taking this 50 seconds. They're taking a moment. They're taking their time because they know how important this round is. The spray comes through. Citizen's doing his best to keep them sort of guessing. He's trying to hope he gets the angle and has the C4 in pocket. The plant is coming through. There's the rip, there's the tear, and oh, there's the push away from the utility. Very well played there. Doesn't get the full catch. The spray through and the hop back in. 20 seconds is all that's left. Can't quite get the connection, but now they're going to go for the plant, and now Citizen has to push round. There's a hot ping on the fight. He puts a lot of damage in. He's going to go close, but it's a post plant. Now they have the 45 seconds, and it's their favor. They can pull out of there. They don't need to. w7m, they take the 2 points. It is not enough to entirely stave off death. They have to have a huge day tomorrow, but it is enough to stave it off at least today.
That's it, right? Like, they're not eliminated just quite yet. There is an opportunity for them